22nd, 2017 board meeting for the Anchorage School District. All board members are present, including our student advisory board member. Would she like to make an opening statement?
We want to welcome you to our board meeting and thank you for attending and supporting the work of the Anchorage School District and this board. It is extremely important for us to have your input. The board thanks students, parents, teachers, staff, business members, and the entire community for your investments in our district. With your time, your talent, and your tax dollars. As partners, we will respect your time and make this meeting as effective and efficient as possible. If you are unable to be physically present for the entire meeting, you may choose to tune in at the Municipality of Anchorage's Channel 9 to watch any of the school board meeting. Meetings are also streamed live and available on demand via the ASD website. The primary purpose of the regular business meeting of the Anchorage School Board is to recognize excellence, receive reports, approve policies and contracts, as well as decide on the rules and processes followed by the board to facilitate orderly decision-making. The role is to govern, not solve management issues. My name is Kaylee Spencer, and I'm the student representative to this board. I was elected to serve through the ASD Student Advisory Board. Although my votes are only advisory, I offer a student voice to this body.
Thank you very much. And would all board members and the audience please rise for our flag salute? And Ms. Snelling, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And I'll entertain a motion for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
We can't say so moved.
Oh, I move to approve the agenda.
Thank you.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any dissension? Then the agenda is approved. We start with the awards and recognition, and I'd like to turn this over to Dr. Bishop for this part of the agenda.
Thank you, Madam President. The next item on the agenda is ASD Memorandum number 174, recognition of Spring 2017 Denali Award winners. School board members Dave Donley, Andy Holleman, and Elisa Snelling will read the memo.
Would Mike McCarthy, Katy Weidmauer, Leah Duber, Debbie Weiss, and Beth Kataiba please come forward? And forgive me if I pronounced any of those last names wrong. To Alaskans, Denali means great one, and the Anchorage School District is proud to have employees that display greatness in the areas of achievement, service, and dedication. This is the highest award offered by the district. Twice each year, a panel of ASD employees selects a number of co-workers and teams of colleagues that demonstrate outstanding commitment to the district's mission of educating all students for success in life. The Spring 2017 winners are as follows. Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy, a solutions architect with the Information Technology Department, is an innovative thinker whose creative solutions have led to process improvements that benefit employees district-wide. One of his biggest projects was the district-wide staff device refresh. An enormous undertaking, this project entailed nearly 4,000 new computers distributed to schools across the ASD. In the past, new computers were set up by IT staff and then delivered to schools for distribution. Given the size of this project, it would have taken more than a year to complete. Mike built a framework and developed procedures to enable staff to be part of the setup process, which effectively shortened the distribution time to less than 3 months. The work he put into this project has enabled IT to streamline its services and meet ASD's goal of improved efficiency. His supervisor described his superb ability to make an existing task, analyze it, and then streamline it for improved efficiency. Making strides to continuously improve and streamline processes is something Mike has dedicated himself to. His efforts are truly beneficial to the entire district, said his supervisor.
Handshoe Team Teaching Duo. Individually, they are great teachers, but together they are like lightning in a bottle. That's how Handshoe Middle School principal describes Katy Wiedemeyer and Lee Dover. Katy and Lee took the initiative to start 2 new 8th grade pre-AP courses at Handshoe. Working together, they wrote a course curriculum infusing AP strategies into 8th grade language arts and social studies. The content focuses on high-level reading, writing, research, and text analysis. Katy is described as a visionary language arts teacher who continually seeks new ways to engage her students and expand their learning. She works closely with multiple state and community organizations to further educational opportunities at her school. She has been instrumental in developing the middle school debate program at Handshoe and across the district. Lee continually takes advantage of learning opportunities to engage and challenge her students. Each year, her students compete in the We the People Middle School Invitational. The program provides an avenue for students to learn the historical and philosophical foundations of our country's ideas about the creation of the Constitution. A parent said, at a time when schools are being asked to do more with less, these 2 astonishing teachers engage, inspire, and stir passion for knowledge. Lee and Katy are 2 of the most creative, hardworking, student-centered teachers I have ever had the pleasure of working with, said their principal.
Ms. Debbie Weiss and Ms. Beth Katiba are the smiling faces and friendly voices of Ravenwood Elementary School. They are described by their colleagues as efficient, organized, caring, dedicated, proactive, and the epitome of professionalism. A Ravenwood teacher says they accomplish more in one day than a dozen of Santa's elves. They have the ability to console a concerned parent, ease a distraught child, and answer a teacher's questions without skipping a beat. As they interact with adults and students throughout the day, they do so with attitudes of care and professionalism. Together, they help each person they interact with feel special and well taken care of no matter the issue or concern. A Ravenwood student wrote, "When I first came to this school, I didn't know anyone. My parents walked me in and we went to the office to see where my classroom was. When I went into the office, Ms. Weiss helped me out, and ever since then, I can always count on her no matter what my situation is." Another student said, "Ms. Katiba is very loyal to me and treats me with respect. I have only known her for 2 years, but she is among my top trusted adults." A colleague says they set a beautiful tone for their school, and their labors of love help make Ravenwood the success that it is. The board joins the administration in recognizing these outstanding Denali Award recipients and all of the nominees for their example of excellence that they set for the entire Anchorage School District community.
Thank you very much. We move on now to public testimony on non-agenda and non-action items. And I'd like to make this statement first. The board welcomes public comments on agenda items, both action and non-action, as well as in general. We value public comments as it both ensures that we remain aware of public thoughts, ideas, and concerns, and it informs our decision-making process. We have a table front and center with 2 seats and microphones available for testimony when I call your name. You have 3 minutes to testify, and you may begin speaking when the timer appears on the screen to your left and begins the countdown. When you have 30 seconds left, the number will turn yellow. When the timer reaches 0, please finish your sentence. Additionally, it is not our practice that board members answer questions or engage in discussion with members of the public. This is your time to speak and our time to listen. The board will consider all information shared by the public, and when deemed necessary, issues raised in testimony will be referred to the administration for follow-up. First on the agenda, I have Beth Nordland to speak about the Parks Service. Good evening. You may
Hello.
begin.
Oh, come on up, Brenda. I'm Beth Nordland, Executive Director of the Anchorage Park Foundation, and this is Brendan Stewart. She's our Schools on Trails coordinator. We've been working now for a few years on a project called Schools on Trails, and we came and spoke with you maybe fall? It was the fall. And we wanted to give you another update because we just keep trucking right along and accomplishing great things. We have 226 parks in Anchorage. About half the elementary schools are adjacent to parkland in Anchorage. What we're trying to accomplish is making sure that schools and teachers and families that are involved with those schools have access to their trails and are able to use their trails in a way for education purposes, you know, for health, PE, but any kind of outdoor learning. We've been working on creating maps for all of the schools that we can get to, and we have a waiting list. So we have 22 maps created so far. And it shows the teachers the trails around their schools. And as you'll be able to see in some of those maps, there's student drawings and certain wood frog habitat and things like that that are of special interest to the school on the map. And then some of those maps, the Sand Lake map, is written in Japanese as well as in English, so we're having the kids do that work and spend the time translating those maps. So we are also working with Melanie Sutton and others on the Summer Academy later this month, and we have 32 teachers signed up to get trained on using the outdoors as your outdoor classroom. And actually, Melanie is going to work on offering continuing education credit for those teachers that want to sign up and get more involved in implementing a challenge grant that they may have received. You know, in the past, we've had New Naka Valley Elementary, Westchester Lagoon Nature Trail, and Ravenwood Elementary with specific challenge grant projects, and then we just announced challenged grants a couple weeks ago, or was it just last week? We are going very quickly, for Sand Lake Elementary and Campbell Elementary. And I'm told today Sand Lake Elementary has installed some audio boxes where they're listening to the wood frogs making their noises, and they're learning all about wood frogs and everything else. And they're going to make school improvements and trail improvements. And Campbell Elementary has already made their birdhouse boxes, and those are up and ready to go, so they're learning a lot there. We're excited about this relationship that we are building with not only Melanie and the superintendent, you know, at the top of this structure, but also with the individual teachers who are taking an interest in involving their kids, the students, in applying for these challenge grants. And I've been hearing a lot of great community feedback to us just when Sand Lake Elementary visits a community council meeting, and tells them exactly what they want to have happen in a park, that's really good feedback. People run into me at the grocery store all over the place and say, those kids from Sand Lake Elementary are really impressive. So you guys are, the schools here are doing a great job, and we are having fun with the fun they're having on our trails.
Ms. Plunkett, you have a comment?
I did. I know that NUNACA has come to the Russian Jack community several times for support for projects for a Park Foundation grant as well. So it's not just coming and giving reports, it's actually being very responsible and leadership oriented for actually coming and saying, this is what we're going to do, this is the cost structure of how we're going to do it. Doing stuff that I did as a president when I was working on my parks. So I think that that's good as well. And just as an FYI as well, the last Russian Jack meeting that I was at, we were talking about graffiti removal, and one of the best graffiti removal people, his brother is actually going to take on the tunnel which the NUNACA kids go through to get into Russian Jack, because most of those areas also have graffiti issues as well. So anything you can do to help with our kiddos on that would be great as well.
We've got to get a new name for that tunnel instead of the scary tunnel.
Thank you very much for your testimony, and thank you for your good work with our schools.
Thank you so much, and I will commit myself to sending an email to you all in the near future so that you can have links to all of the maps, all the updated maps. We have new ones, and the superintendent, I think, has some on her wall in her office. So.
I would love that. Thank you so much. Next on our agenda is Bright Nygaard. Good evening.
Good evening, honorable school board members and Superintendent Bishop. I'm here to discuss the security and safety of our students. My name is Bright Nygaard. I have 3 children who attend school through the ASD, my eldest having graduated from service last year. I've been heavily involved in the community for the past 14 years as a Girl Scout leader on PTA boards and booster clubs, and have volunteered thousands of hours at my children's schools. I have also worked for the ASD since 2010. I'm speaking tonight not only as the Hanshu PTA president, but also as a concerned parent and committed ASD employee. I understand the budget cuts are affecting many and wish that wasn't the case, but I'm specifically here to discuss saving our 2.6 school counselor positions. As you may know, this past month, the Hanshu community experienced the suicide of one of our students. To now hear Hanshu will lose one of 3 counselors and the only female on the team is inexcusable. There are far too many sensitive and personal topics that many middle schoolers, especially female students, only feel comfortable discussing with a female counselor. The Hanshu staff is passionate and supportive, but they are not trained counselors. The recent ASD Parents and Community Survey shows the #1 concern for parents, first and foremost, is the safety of their children, our students. To me, that is not purely security-based. The well-being of our students is not encompassed by the number of security guards we have. Adding the proposed Capturing Kids' Hearts into the ASD repertoire is a wonderful idea. However, spending additional money on training for teachers that are already overwhelmed does not replace our counselors. We've added Change of Heart, Rachel's Promise, Aggressors, Victims, Bystanders, You Are Not Alone, and many other forms of anti-bullying and support groups. And while these are amazing programs, the number of health and social issues continues to increase. I've watched the demographics and dynamics change over the past 7 years as my own children have attended Hanshu in service. I also work at an elementary middle school. According to the World Health Organization, 10% of our children currently have anxiety, depression, self-harm, eating disorders, low self-esteem, and or bad body image. While the ASD is not responsible for every aspect of our students' lives, we can help within our school setting. In delicate times like these, it is important to remember the butterfly effect, which in chaos theory is the sensitive dependence on conditions in which a small change can result in a large difference in a later state. The removal of one counselor at a middle school may not seem as though it will have a large effect. However, the smaller problems will be amplified later. A resolution that supports the safety of our children is needed. School counselors support the mental wellness and physical health of our students, and efforts of our school counselors should be praised and not undervalued. I ask you, honorable school board members and Superintendent Bishop, are we willing to risk the security and safety of our students to conserve monetary resources? Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your testimony. And that concludes people who've signed up to be heard on non-action items. There'll be another opportunity at the end of the meeting for individuals who would like to speak on non-action items. And of course, during our action item agenda, we'll pull each one up and allow for public testimony too. We'll move into our reports at this stage. And Dr. Bishop, would you like to give your superintendent update, please?
Sure, Madam President. It's difficult to go after such a touching and serious feedback from our people, our stakeholders, whether they're employees, parents, volunteers. I was requested to just give an update on reduction in force and just state that while the Anchorage School District, we did approve our budget in February based on the House numbers as well as the governor's numbers for funding of schools, which was flat funding. Again, as a review, that did create job loss already in ASD, which is really services lost in ASD. We await the final outcome of the conference committee, which was established, I believe, last week or earlier the week before. Right now, the Senate moved into that with a 5.7% cut, which would be over $20 million to our district, in addition to the $15 million for which the board found reductions and used savings accounts to cover. I just wanted to inform the board that as it stands now, all first-year non-tenured teachers and some second-year teachers would expect to receive a layoff notification by May 25th. And so we have been communicating with the union, with schools, with principals, sharing the information. We don't believe that these reductions, all of them for all non-tenured because of our natural attrition is going to occur, so we will need to hire back. I don't believe the cut is going to be 5.7, but if it is so, we need to have positions for tenured teachers to move into. So we have to create that flexibility in that space, and the urgency of this is strictly due to state statute that says layoff notification must be given on the last day of school to tenured. Of course, or to non-tenured rather. Tenured, that date has already passed. The reduction in force does not include teachers in special education or related services or hard to fill positions. In total, that number is about 220. Again, the plan is not to eliminate all those positions. However, due to certifications and placements, the callback and placement of teachers is directed not only by state law but also by collective bargaining in a fair and appropriate manner that had been agreed upon. We absolutely understand the significant stress and uncertainty this brings with those who receive layoff notices as well as the whole school community. Depending on the outcome of state funding, the district will start recalling ASAP as soon as we can, placing teachers back into position so that they may too and enjoy their summer. When the layoff notices are delivered, they will include each individual's recall order so that that will be communicated and known. And of course, Human Resources has organized by teams and by areas to really to address those teachers in those areas right away and to be able to answer the questions. But again, it is based off of positions. It's certainly any reductions, even if the district does find itself needing to make up a difference in revenue as compared to expenditures, it would not be only in one sector of our program. However, there is not a rule in regard to tenure, non-tenure for anyone that isn't certificated. So if we would not take this action and have to reduce, say, if the 5% did come to fruition, it would only be on non-certificated of other people in our district who create a full program, which would be, it could be aides, it could be lunch folks, it could be custodians. So all the different areas, secretaries of our schools, and all of these positions are necessary. However, none of them have the statute necessary in law or established in law that would call for a timing of this to happen. Therefore, it is occurring to be in a good place to place tenured teachers whom the date for that has passed, and tenured teachers who have not received notices of layoff or non-retention will have a position by law as of, it was the 15th of May. So they do have positions, so we know we will hire that many. And as well, the non-tenured that are the other half of the second year non-tenured and third year non-tenured. So we just went down in that manner. So it is taking place. We've communicated. We're sharing it out as much as possible. And again, this is part of the protocol due to no notification at the state level of revenue, a guarantee of revenue for which our district will receive. And again, the state revenue determines local revenue because our assembly has supported us at 100% of the allowable contribution. So I wanted to share that, to be with the board, that those actions have been taking place. But when we understand what the revenue picture is, we are, just as we're set to have to give these, we are set to start making the decisions in regard to, once those schedules are created, to calling people back into positions for which they will teach kids next year. So if the board has any questions, we can certainly, Susan Schmidt and Todd Hess have been working on this with their team for over a month. And we've been hoping to put it off, but the conference committee has not come up with any plan. So if there's any questions, I can certainly answer that. I'd like to end on a good note. Last week, the graduations were wonderful. We finished quite a few in addition to the large 8 schools, and a stellar secondary school graduated today at 3 p.m. Sorry, you all couldn't make it because you were here. We did have some of our representatives attend there. A few graduations and celebrations remain this week, which we're excited. For those scheduled tomorrow include McLaughlin Youth Center at 1 p.m. The Alaska Native Charter School has a pre-K, kindergarten, 8th grade promotion or graduations. Family Partnership Charter School at 7 at the Bartlett Theater. Polaris at 7 at Wendy Williamson. Northern Lights at 7 p.m. at the East High School Auditorium is having an 8th grade promotion. And then Sand Lake 6th grade Japanese immersion program has their celebration at Mears. So just to sum all that up, we've had over 3,100 graduates. And we expect over 3,200 by the summertime. Some kids just needed like a half a credit, and we're going to get them through, and then they can graduate by this school year. They can be counted as a 17 graduate. Our students have earned millions of dollars of scholarships to follow their dreams. And while the graduation rate in 2004 was less than 60%, it is now 80% for 4-year and 86% for 5 years. So we understand that not all kids learn the same, and some go through different things in their life. So we are happy to take them back a 5th year to get a diploma, which is really the next stage out of high school before they enter the workforce or some other internship or college. So we're happy to be a part of that. And any student on ASD streets with a diploma is better than one without one, certainly. And of those, we have 130 schools and programs from AP to world languages, IB, and more. We're starting a new one with the board of Alaska Middle College that will pay for itself to offer opportunities for juniors and seniors to earn college credit. Interesting fact that Heidi Embley came by, although we've been all week tweeting and sharing this good news. If you can believe it, that Facebook and social media didn't even exist when these guys were in kindergarten. So we've come a long way. So just want to say thank you to the board members. I was able to see all of you at graduations, and the principals and schools were certainly pleased that you could join in on the celebration. And that is what keeps us focused in moving forward, even when things aren't good. We know that, as was stated, kids depend on us, and so we're happy to move forward. So that's all I had this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bishop. We move to our Student Advisory Board representative report. Ms. Spencer.
Okay. Well, we had our last Student Advisory Board meeting last month, and we will re-adjourn in the fall, where we will work on collecting applications for the elected positions of parliamentarian, secretary, vice president, and president. We will also be making changes in the way that we run meetings and approach schools' personal goals.
Thank you very much. And board conference and committee reports. I'd like to start with finance. Ms. Snelling.
The Finance Committee met today. We covered 3 topics: third quarter financials, salaries and benefits over the past, since 1982, with and without PERS and TERS, so there's a couple charts in there, and the end of year fund balance projections. And I believe all of those documents are on board docs for board members and the public to review. We've tentatively set our next meeting for June 5th from 2:30 to 3:30. I'll announce closer the topics and whether we need it, because we're still waiting for Juno.
Okay, thank you so much. Communications?
Yeah, we've not met since the last meeting, but we are scheduled to meet on June 6th at 11 a.m. And we have 4 things on the agenda at this time. HR 1628, updating the legislative communications, public school trust fund, and understanding that better, and school cost differential, the foundation formula, discussion of that.
Okay, and I did want to bring up that there was a letter posted by, or shared by one of your committee members on a draft for a letter to our congressional representatives. And I do believe Ms. Marsett wants to speak on that. And then it's an opportunity for any board members who'd like to give input or ask questions to do so now.
So I'd like to read this letter. I know it's a little bit long, but I'd still like to read it. This letters are going to...
excuse me. Have all board members read the letter? I don't know if I want to take the time to read the whole through, but you can highlight different aspects of it. Okay.
Well, basically, these letters are going to Senator Lisa Murkowski and Senator Sullivan. This bill has already passed through the House, and so Congressman Young has already voted for this bill. This bill is actually HR 1628. It's the main vehicle that's being used by the U.S. House of Representatives and Senate to repeal the Affordable Care Act. The major impact on urban and communities, it involves the elimination of traditional Medicaid entitlements for low-income children and adults, reducing the spending by $800 billion over 10 years. There will be cuts to school-based reimbursements from the state Medicaid office. And so what we did is we drafted a letter. Well, I want to tell you one other thing about this. That not only does the letter address this, but also Washington is looking at how to sustain, let me see, I put this, including the continuing resolution, which does not have enough money for Title I. And I know that they've just passed a bill to continue the funding for 2017. But in 2018, they're going to be introducing bills which is going to cut funds to Title I. It's going to cut funds to Title III and IDEA. It's going to eliminate Title II. And it's also going to be looking at the 21st century grants as well as authorizing vouchers. So the letter that we proposed is actually just asking them to, of course, increase the funding for 21st century community learning centers, and they have continued that for FY17. And what we're asking, our concerns are for FY18. We're asking that they do not pass this bill. What it costs the school district in Medicaid reimbursements is about $500,000. However, it's going to cost more than that because low-income families are looking, you know, they have their Medicaid, they're able to get these services through their practitioners. When those are not available any longer, those are things that maybe the school district will have to look at somehow compensating for and be able to provide our student services. The other thing we look at is we want them to take a closer look at the impacts of additional legislation, such as the debt limit bill, on which all government operations rest, the tax overhaul bill, on which private school tuition tax credits could be attached, and the FY 2018 budget, where the Trump administration has proposed a Title I funding portability initiative, which would freeze Title II and 21st century learning. What this would cost the district and programs, and our Title I NCLB is $12.2 million. Title I migrant is $1.8 million. Title II is $3.1 million. Title III is $407,000. And then again, I've already talked about the Medicaid reimbursement. And we just further say that with the state funding, that you know, the elimination of more than 120 positions next school year based on the flat funding, layoff notices must be issued, that we really can't afford to have more cuts in education and funding, and we're hoping that they will vote against this.
Okay, I'll open it up for any questions or comments from board members. Ms. Plunkett?
I think I would rather just do the one topic for the 1628 and not get into the other items that you had talked about and keep it more focused. But the one thing I would like to have with the potential cuts are the amount that we would not get versus the total amount that we are getting, so we know how much we still have out there, how much we're losing of the total amount. Because I didn't think Medicaid reimbursement was more than $500,000. I thought that was the total amount. So is the total amount for Medicaid reimbursement that we would normally get and that we have budgeted, is it $1 million? And with that, our reduction is $500 million. It's not clear to me what that number really is, and it would be nice to have those two broken down so you can say we have budgeted $1 million, and I'm just using this number because I have no idea, because I don't think it's that much in Medicaid reimbursement, and of that we expect to lose $500 million. That kind of tells me more what's going on, because I really didn't think that number was more than 500,000 total.
So the thing that I can tell you is tomorrow the budget comes out, and in the budget you could see these things that we're talking about. So it could be that it would be wise for us to wait until the budget comes out tomorrow. Based on the budget that's presented, we can certainly decide whether we leave these things in or if we take them out, because the budget is for the FY18.
Okay. And I see that this is on the agenda for the next communications meeting. So based on that, I'm assuming that a new draft will be brought to the committee on that date. And then that letter then I would expect to be brought to, wait, that's after our next board meeting. When is your next committee meeting? Is
June 6th.
June 6th, and our next board meeting is June 5th.
Oh.
So in order for the board to be able to pass this letter, we could put it on the, we do have that short meeting prior to our joint school board assembly meeting. It could be an item on there if we post it to meet OMA regulations for a vote on a letter, because that has to be brought to the whole board again.
We may want to, depending on how long we take on this, we may want to draft another letter, just because I don't know how soon the Senate is going to vote on HR 1628, and that would impact our Medicaid. But I think we can wait until the budget comes out tomorrow and take a look at this and see, and I will look to see when the Senate is supposed to vote on this to see if we still have time. The other thing is on the question on Medicaid, we can certainly have Andy or Jim answer those questions for us about what we have budgeted and what we receive. I know we do receive, or we have received 500,000 in reimbursement. I think we've asked, we've submitted more, but we haven't gotten more due to
Dr.
some.
Bishop, is your staff prepared to answer those questions?
Through the president to Member Marsett, we anticipated receiving 500,000 next year in Medicaid reimbursement. We didn't know, because we had not seen the budget, how much of a cut would actually be in this final bill. So we had to assume that it would be all of it.
And so that question is answered tomorrow. Is that accurate? Okay. So what is the wish of the board? Would the board like to see a new letter just on the Medicaid reimbursement drafted prior to our next board meeting, and then look at the second part as a second letter to be drafted, to be discussed later? I'm trying to get the feel of the board here.
I think we should wait until after tomorrow and make that decision, honestly, until we see the budget and what's it's comprised of.
Okay, then I'm going to push this back to your communications committee, and if necessary, you may need to do another communications meeting prior to June 5th, that this is something you want to be done in a timely manner. I'm only stating that because after June 5th, you'll have to wait until August, and it may become a moot point. Okay? Thank you very much. Anything else from the communications committee?
Not
Okay.
this time.
Thank you. Our governance committee. Ms. Plunkett.
Sorry. Probably the biggest news was our May 11th and 12th workshops that were all day. I want to thank everyone that came and participated in those. I think we're moving forward. I want to give a big thank you to Linda Carlson, who headed it up, along with ASB. And our next meeting, and we're going to kind of move forward with the process, will be on June 14th from 3 to 5 in room 150.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, then that concludes our board conference and committee reports, and we move to our consent agenda. So I'll entertain a motion from our vice president for that consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda, the January 23rd, 2017 school board meeting minutes, and ASD Memorandum 182 personnel report.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All board members, please proceed to vote. Or do you want me to do it? Roll call vote? Or not? Yes, okay, I don't see one. And I'm looking now for our advisory student vote.
Yay.
And the consent agenda passes 7 yea, 0 nay. And I'll entertain, no, now we're going to have a statement concerning, pardon me? Right, but first I want to do my statement. You're right, student hearings. Motion be concerning our student hearings.
Okay. Motion to approve the expulsion of the students associated with ASD incident numbers 1229320, 1229322, 1229326, and 1230656, as discussed in executive session.
Need a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. There is no advisory vote on this item. Will board members please proceed to vote? And the motion passes 7 yea, 0 nay. At this point, we'll begin our action items, Yes, our action items and the procedure for the agenda item testimony is as follows. An action item memo is first introduced by the Vice President, and if seconded by another board member, I will open the floor for public testimony. If you've signed up in advance or you indicate you're interested in providing testimony, I will call you to come to the front table to speak. You have 3 minutes to talk, and you'll see a timer on the screen to your left to monitor the time remaining and inform you of when you need to conclude. After the testimony closes, I'll open the floor for board discussion, followed by the student board representative vote, before finally calling for the official vote. And again, the voting results will be displayed on the screen.
I move, I move to approve ASD Memorandum 173 to ratify the award of contract for the purchase of frozen goods to Food Services of America for the second quarter of FY 2016-2017, October, November, and December of 2016, in the estimated amount of $683,321.30.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. I'm opening up for public testimony. See no one wishing to testify. I'm closing public testimony, opening it for board discussion. Closing board discussion, student advisory vote.
Yay.
Please vote, board members. The motion passes 7 yeas, 0 nay.
I move to approve ASD Memorandum 1, whoops. Yep, that's it, sorry. I move to approve ASD Memorandum 163 and authorize the superintendent to award a demolition, abatement, and structural repair guaranteed maximum price, GMP, contract for the construction of West High School, Romick Middle School IMC renovation project to Cornerstone General Contractors, Inc. in the amount of $4,191,957.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Opening for public testimony. Closing public testimony. Board discussion is now open. Closing board discussion, student advisory vote.
Yay.
Board members, please vote. The motion passes 7 yeas, 0 nay.
I move to approve ASD Memorandum 183 that the school board approve revisions to the school board code of conduct.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Opening for public discussion. Closing public discussion. Opening up board discussion. Closing board discussion. Our student advisory vote.
Yay.
Board members, please vote. Motion passes 7 yeas, 0 nay.
I move to approve ASD Memorandum 188 to adopt the attached resolution supporting National School Nurses Day, which occurred May 10th, 2017.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any public testimony? Public testimony is closed. Board discussion. Ms. Marsett?
I personally, as a parent and again as a school board member, can't thank our school nurses enough. My child was given medication during school, and those were the individuals that made sure that he came down and got them every day, thank goodness. And, you know, he was kind of a challenge, but at East High School, I'm just going to shout out a kudos to the nurse there, because she not only, Cody's a little bit of a hypochondriac, I will tell you, and she dealt with him on a very professional and a very tender way, I guess, and actually even had him become an aide in the office since he was there so often anyway. And so it worked out pretty good. But, you know, they do more than just, you know, the Band-Aids and the Tylenol and that sort of thing. They really are there for our students in both an emotional and a physical way. So I just want to shout out to all our school nurses and say thank you.
Mr. Holleman.
I'd like to second that as an educator that was in the buildings for 16 years. They do a lot more than nursing, and it's one of those short titles, but there are a number of students that relate to nurses in a way that they're not going to relate to any other staff members. They bring that expertise to the whole staff, and when you think about everything they do in relation to students and making the building run every day, then every other staff member can pause and really be grateful that they're there, because somebody has to deal with that, and nurses deal with tremendous issues that that none of the rest of us, quite frankly, are prepared to tackle. So they do a tremendous job. They're all across the community. They're there for every kid. We really can't say enough in their favor.
Thank you. Okay, closing board discussion, student advisory vote.
Yay.
Board members, please vote. And this motion also passes 7 yeas, 0 nay. Now move to the non-action item portion of our agenda. I want to give an opportunity for board members to ask any questions as we go through each of these. So is there any motion that board members would like to have discussed? Any memorandum, I mean. I do have a question myself then on Memorandum 189, the district-wide digital copier contract. And I was read through and I couldn't quite pick up the understanding. This is for all copiers in all schools in the entire district. Is that accurate?
Madam President, I will suggest that our CIO, did I get that right? Yes, okay. I'm just not used to chief descriptions. We'll comment on that, and this is actually one step into, actually within 3 years, we look to greater improvements with smart printing, but I will let Mr. Fleckenstein address that.
Thank you.
That is correct. So this contract will replace the current copiers that we have in all schools and administration buildings.
And so it's basically being administered in one full swoop, where they're going to have new ones brought in for every single school, and those will be monitored for usage? I was just curious.
Yes, so we actually do that now as well. We did a study on usage of all sizes across the district. And that's really what has pointed us to the need to make some changes over the next couple of years to save some money in that area. And so these devices will have those same capabilities. We will work with purchasing and the vendor to roll these out in sort of a systemic way, so they won't all come all the same day. We'll look to roll and change the fleet. It's the same company that currently has the contract, and so that transition should be fairly smooth for schools.
Okay. Are there other questions?
Madam President, I would just like to also speak that the changeover is probably really a team effort, because it is more than just getting smart printers. It's actually changing behaviors of how we print. So. Okay. Oh, okay. So, yeah. So we want to, as we move into the future, this is an area of a good deal of money being spent for something that we know that by our behaviors we could put more teachers in the classroom, and by all of our behaviors. And so seeing that end line and starting with the type of copier that we need is going to assist us.
And this is going to be a 3-year process, is that what I understood?
Yes, so we've done a lot of the planning, and so this next year, as we roll these copiers out, then we will look to sort of structure how we want to do smart printing specifically at the school level to handle the different levels, and then from that we'll be positioned very well to do sort of a larger contract at the end of this one where we look to potentially outsource all of our printing as opposed to just the copiers.
Okay. Be interested in learning more as this proceeds. Are there other questions that any board members have on any of the memos on the non-action items? Hearing none, we move on to future items and future business. Does any board member have any items they'd like to bring up for our future business to be considered for the agenda? Ms. Plunkett.
It's not an item to add, but when are we going to be working on our, because don't we have a assembly meeting coming up soon as well?
Yes.
For the agenda for that, because isn't that here?
It's, the draft is already posted on Board Docs.
I missed it, sorry. I will look.
I thought we posted the draft. Oh. Yes. I have access to some drafts that you do not, so it has not been posted for you. I misspoke. We're waiting to confirm with the municipality on items that they would like to have on the agenda. But it is, the date has been set, so it is June 12th, June 9th, excuse me. Yeah. Ms. Marsett?
And the board knows that you are not going to be there that day.
Yes, I'll be absent for that meeting, and our vice president will conduct that meeting. Okay, we move to public testimony on non-agenda and non-action items. Is there anybody that wishes to be considered for speaking? Seeing no one wishing to speak, we move to our school board and administration comments and communications. Ms. Marsett.
Well, I was just waiting for everybody else, but heck. Well, for my first time overseeing a graduation and being part of that ceremony, it was absolutely fantastic and wonderful, and the smiles on those kids' faces as they came up were like, I don't think they could have gotten any bigger. So it was, and of course the crowning moment was that I got to hand my son his sleeve, so that was very nice too. But just looking forward to this again next year and our numbers being bigger, and even the small ones. I went to Whaley's graduation, and it was wonderful. We had 7 students graduate from Whaley, and I think there were 3 diplomas and then 4 attendance certificates. But no less, they were just as excited and should be just as proud of those accomplishments. And this is what it's all about. I mean, this is what we work for. So thank you to everyone.
And I'd like to segue to your comments and also recognize all the work of the staff in helping make those graduations go so smoothly. There's lots of behind-the-scenes things that happen, and for months in advance of those events. And so kudos to all the staff that makes those things look so easy. We just breeze in, walk in, and join them on stage, and everything is all set. It is absolutely wonderful that things go so well. And I also want to recognize that the school year is ending this year. I had somebody ask me incredulously if that was true. They didn't believe that school actually ended, and they actually argued with me on whether it was Thursday or Friday's last day for teachers, and I assured them I thought I did know for sure Thursday was the last day for teachers, Wednesday's the last day for students. And so a big shout out to all of our staff, the entire Anchorage School District that makes this school district run so well. And thank you to the students for a smooth ending that we anticipate. High expectations for wonderful behavior on the last day of school too. If board members aren't aware, you're not assigned, but you're encouraged to choose some schools in your designated area and go give the administration a hand and help them out to ensure that our ending of our school is what we anticipate and expect it to be. So choose a school that you would like to be at if you have the time on Wednesday. And of course, the time is determined by if you're at elementary or middle or high school. Yes, and Katy has agreed to organize that for all the board members if they wish to sign up, so that we all don't end up at the exact same school.
Madam President,
Yes.
In addition to visiting just on the last day, if you would actually like to follow a bus, we do have that volunteer too, if you want to follow a bus home to ensure that there's no shenanigans. But not only visiting a school, but if you have extra time, you could also follow a school bus.
I actually play a role where I follow them to get on the bus. There's that other little segment too. So, and that includes our student advisory member too. You're more than welcome to join us immediately after you walk out.
I'll probably be riding the bus.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other board comments? I will remind the board that this Thursday is another chapter in our School Board Leadership Academy from 4 to 6 p.m. And if you haven't seen the agenda for the exciting topics, I encourage you to go and look at the items. We, of course, do expect our 2 new board members there, but all board members are more than welcome to attend those events. Anything else? Then I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Seeing no dissension, we are adjourned.